edition of Power to the People. Thank you to everybody back at the station for all of our patchwork to get through. I don't know about you, but I'm having a trouble. I'm having a trouble with a little breathing. This weather, me running down to the south and then coming back, and it was cold in the south. You'd have thought since it was cold in the south, it was cold up here. That would have been fine, but I came back and head ain't been right since. I done bucklied and you name it, I've done it. My aunt was in the office with my mom the other day. Oh, you got to take the ginger. And I just might, but I can't stand the taste of ginger. So
I love it.
I might make me some, is that me? Or one of our devices? I think it's the device.
Oh, it's a tablet.
So I may have to take her advice because nothing is opening this up, and there's only so much medicine I want to take. So anybody else out there suffering with this summer, whatever, well, summer.
Summer would be great.
I got so much to talk about today. We're going to talk a little bit about, in a few minutes, about the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo Bills said, let me tell y'all people who think y'all was about to get a lot of money. Now, this is the second time we had seen this. Community groups supposed to get money, and it's advertised that way, and then it's like, oh, no. So that's not going to be the main topic. Did the Buffalo Bills say, and let me say this because they got attorneys, allegedly. No, I'm going to read what they said.
Yeah.
I'm going to read what they said. But I'm going to say like this. How it was received was, yeah, we said we're going to give y'all some money for community benefits agreement, but we going to control it. So we going to come. That's going to be the topic of the day because this is the second time now in a few months where groups been promised, especially on the east side, been promised we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to work with y'all, we're going to do it. And then when the rubber meets the road, this is why I want to show you why political power and economic power is so important. Because when you don't have it, so I'm going to talk about the boycott, but I just want to encourage our news outlets out there. Would you please cover the news? We have a major mayor's race happening. The first mayor's race without the same front-running candidate. And how long was he in?
Almost 20 years.
89 years?
Yes.
So 89 years, first one. And I'm just going to say this. When you turn on certain outlets or you go to certain platforms, digital platforms, and the first thing they're still leading off with is the Buffalo Bills and who we ought to pick and who we ought to this, folks, there are candidates out there that we need to know about them. Yep. So this is what somebody recently I had lunch with made plain. So our one newspaper, we're in one newspaper town. You can only see so many articles for free.
Oh, yep.
And then what's called a paywall comes up.
Yep.
And I get it. However, there are some stories that you can't, even at the free, you can't get to.
Nope.
Because it's hidden behind the paywall.
Yes.
And when they made this point, I'm like, that's a good point. So the media in a city or a state or in the federal, some nationwide, I should say, have impact and they carry power because they feed information.
Yes.
So now during one of the most important races in our city, too many stories are hidden behind the paywall and people don't get the information. So I'm encouraging people, and I encourage, the Buffalo Criterion, the Buffalo Challenger, put as much information that we can get out to our people because
right. That's all we got.
At the end of the day, I'm good with a gala. I'm good with this. I'm good with that. But we need information.
Yes.
Information is power.
Yep.
So we got a black newspaper too, We got black radio stations. We got to utilize them.
Yeah, because like you said, at the end of the day, the ultimate goal is still be lulled to sleep. You know, you put up
Entertainment,
you
bruh.
still get lulled to sleep, and so now it's, oh, look at all the good that's happening in our neighborhoods. Look at all this and look at all that. Meanwhile, the world is passing by, but you got the smoke screen of everything else in front of us. So it is devastating.
Well, when you look at it, especially during George Floyd, it was front page news.
Yes.
And it was front page news as long as we were breaking into City Hall, as long as people were breaking into stores. Front page news.
Yes.
Now you have a leader who says get rid of DEI, and
and everybody.
now nothing is. I literally went through today and every day because I'm a news junkie a little bit, so I read. I don't see anything about discrimination. I don't see anything about the effects of DEI locally. I don't see anything about the major stories that we need to hear about. And that, I mean, you know, I could talk about it on here. I'm on here for an hour. These are the folks who making the big money, get the advertisers to push information out to the people.
I mean, yeah, and you're right, because like just pulling up the headlines, Buffalo News
right now.
The big story: Bills want seat at table in determining direction of safety. Right,
Bills
at Joanne. As Joanne Fabrics closes his Western.
You think I give a god doggone about
Right?
Joanne Fabric as the front story?
Yeah, Niagara University scientists and their students developing novel antiviral therapeutic. We got the correction officers reaching an agreement. We got some high school prep talk.
And still, even on the correction officers, the stories are not balanced.
No.
I had to go to the Challenger to look at even another side, somebody,
Yes.
I believe, from the inside who's giving information.
Yep.
I'm encouraging, and this is I'm not scolding, but if nobody says it, then nobody goes in the boardrooms and go, this is the kind of stuff that you got to stick your neck out for.
And I was going to say, let's just be honest. Who owns Buffalo News? Warren Buffett.
Warren Buffett.
A one percenter. So
at the end of the day, and that's the point of today's show. Because if you look at it, the only time our issues are in the major press is when it's usually something negative.
Yep.
And so now you have the United States of America making a huge, what I call U-turn. And I can't find one local, everything starts out, I mean, come on, the season is over. The season is over.
Yep.
So I'm just begging news outlets out there, please, please. I was watching Atlanta station the other day. I was watching the Houston station the other day on Newsy.
Yep.
They're doing news. Yeah. There was a big bust from Jamestown. Everybody know that drugs run Buffalo to Jamestown.
Yep.
I found it once, and then when you get back on the site, it changes up the stories it wants you to see.
Yes.
So now something as important as that, I got to dig for it.
Yep.
And I'll just say this because I told you this about mental health and some things I've been studying. One doctor says, stop scrolling.
Yep.
And stop letting these social media platforms choose what you want. When you go on them, you choose what you want. So if I go and I want to look at something in mental health, I put that in the search, and that's it. End of the day, this is choosing, and what you just said, it's kind of lulling us to sleep.
Yes, it is.
So we're still in the conversation of DEI, but I haven't seen a whole lot of articles about people who've lost their job locally.
No.
Who worked for the federal government, who voted for this administration. It's like crickets.
No.
Now, although Warren Buffett, in his defense, did at Berkshire Hathaway the other day basically send a message to the president.
Right.
About taking care of people who are underrepresented.
Yeah, he is generally tends more liberal. So I don't want to cast him as a Trumper or a MAGA, but you're still a 1%er.
Still a 1%er.
People still vote their money.
But at least this guy spoke out.
Yes.
At the end of the day, all I'm begging is we got a country in chaos. And it is affecting us local. Yep. But I am not seeing the coverage. Now, let me say this. I have not watched the news in over a year. I go back and I choose what I want to watch, but I look at all of the stories.
Yes.
And I still do not see the coverage of local struggle, and it will not be until they feel like we acting a fool.
Yep.
And then it will be, let's cover it. And I'm just speaking out, and I don't have a horse in the race. Boycott. Today is the day, folks, if you forgot. So if you at Target or on your way to Target.
Stop. If you're scrolling Amazon, stop.
So, yeah. So here it is. During blackout economic boycott, participants are urged, number one, do not make purchases. Number two, do not shop online or in store. No Amazon, no Walmart, no Target. Now, Walmart and Target was first that was targeted because, again, let me say it in plain English. They rolled back their diversity, equity, inclusion programs when some of these people, especially during George Floyd, were the ones, we're going to hire more managers of color. We're going to promote more within. We're going to make sure our stores are more representative of people of color. And now they're like, because the president said, and it has nothing to do with them.
No.
They're not receiving federal money.
No.
So they're not forced to roll back DEI.
No. It was getting ready to say, it's just the same thing that happened with a voting base. It was literally, somebody is speaking what the backwoods have been saying or what people who are in suits Monday through Friday, but then white hoods at night. Now they just got somebody that's publicly out here agreeing with them. So you woke up a base. So basically what these corporations basically said was, he took the pressure off of us.
Yep.
And we're just going to run with it.
Absolutely. No Target, no Best Buy, no McDonald's, because McDonald's rolled back.
Yes, they did.
And it says in other fast food stores, no gas, no major retailers, do not use credit or debit cards for non-essential spending. It didn't say not to get your money out. Only buy essentials of absolutely necessary things. So, and they are encouraging, if you are going to spend the money in a smaller local business.
Right.
And you went to one today.
Yes, I was deliberate, and so I went to Golden Cup and supported, and it was packed. So shout out to all those who, are probably regular customers, but also those who are in this movement, at least for today, taking the first step. It'll be an impact. And, you got to start with one day because, and what I even learned listening this week about all the different ones is so the one that Jamal Bryant is the Target Fast actually goes with Lent. But he's not opposed to everyone that started the one that started February 1st. He posted the one about today, but the targetfast.org one is specifically to run through Lent. So he's tying some spiritual pieces to it as well. So if you want to go spend at Target, he's advising pray and then go to another business. But even in that, it was kind of disheartening to see that there were some black churches in Detroit that, knowing that all of this is going on, they took their congregations and went into Targets and bought all the black owned supplies in there. And it's just like, but that's going against what we're trying to do.
Right. Let them hang on
because they already got their
money. But Detroit is different. Detroit, the prayer came out of Detroit. The prayer came out of Detroit. So the one thing that you got to be careful is in moments like this is not trying to do different so that you can be seen. I'd rather, just like I'm doing right now, inform people.
Absolutely.
Here's what it is. I don't need to be on the news to say it. I thank God that we have our own platform. And we can say to people, this is what this group is calling for. And the one thing, and you know me, I'm not going to disparage any, unless it's a really silly move.
Right.
Like buying all the blessed stuff out of giving Walmart, Target. But I get maybe what they're trying to say. But they got some more in the back room.
Absolutely. And most of the suppliers have already been paid up front.
Yeah. So I'd rather for them to have all that stuff on the shelves and say, don't buy any African-American stuff out of Target. Go get it from your local places. There's enough people in every town who got their home-based business and got them a heat press on
Yes.
their kitchen table.
Absolutely.
That you can call your cousin.
Yes.
And they can make you a red, black, and green shirt. Mm-hmm. And give it to them so they can feed their babies.
Yep.
I stopped going like to the mall if I need a shirt real quick. I know enough people
That can make
who
you
got
one.
a press at home.
Yep.
I'd rather give you $15, $20 to make my shirt than to give somebody else $15, $20 and it doesn't come back. So, so no Amazon. Now, shoot. I ordered mine early, but it wasn't. I forgot about this day, but I didn't. I will not go on. I will honor it,
Yes.
and I will not go on today. I will not go out shopping today. I already got my fish at home. It's in the freezer. I already did everything that I have to do, and if there's something I need, I'm gonna wait.
Yes.
And so that's how we come together. Again, regardless of who's leading, I really don't care. Just lead us. Let's go in some direction
If you ain't
that has an impact.
if you ain't put me in any bodily harm, to not spend
Come on.
for a day or not spend on big market, I think we could start with one day.
So the reason I'm talking about this shift and why I think we're going backwards, again, in the Challenger, there's an article about a school called Now Valley Shule. And it was one of the first charter schools around this area that were run by African Americans, very Afrocentric theme. And I thought about, especially as things are turning.
Yep.
And I was reading in the Florida paper how they're heavy on vouchers, even for millionaires, for their kids to go to school.
Wow.
So you got people in Florida their kids going to school on vouchers, although they've got money. You've got people like Now Valley Shule that got closed down. St. John's Charter School got closed down. Stepping Stone Academy that was here got closed down. There's a whole list
You're right.
of schools that were run by African Americans that they easily closed down. So if you want to talk about this shift, it happened even here. And this wasn't under the Hochul administration. This was before this administration is now. And so I remember when the state came in, and I wasn't a part of Stepping Stone. I was just a landlord.
Right.
And they made sure to make that plain. And now you got an administration that, loves the Lord and everything can be mingled and intermingled. Back then, no, we don't want any crosses around the kids. We don't want this around the kids. We had to do whole separate wall, everything.
Right.
But you look at how many African-American schools were closed down in Western New York. And now you're talking about shutting down the education department. And I can go into all of that of what that means and what that really does not mean, because by and large, the states run your education.
Right.
However, the education department can set precedent for benchmarks across the United States.
Right.
So I am concerned about our children. I'm concerned about education. So it's just wild that there's this article about Now Valley Shule, and I think about all the schools that were being run by very qualified African Americans. But if you didn't have that economic power and you didn't have that political power, you can hang it up. Okay, let me see what people are talking about on social media. Carolyn Lane says black business should support as much as you can. Anyway, I totally agree with that. And I think that this could be a jump off to that. I've been
Yes.
posting different businesses. Our chairman of our trustee board, who does I think it's 716 Empowerment, bringing his podcast back on and talking about black businesses and interviewing black business. I think we got to just make this a part of who we are. And be able. Tashelle says, I'm definitely participating in the economic blackout and thankfully have never been a Target shopper. I'm supporting a black business for lunch. See, yeah. Strength in numbers. I've been teaching about this for Black History Month. The Montgomery bus boycott almost made the NFTA bankrupt because they stood up. And I really believe that we have to go beyond just a protest on one thing. So that's why I'm supporting this. I encourage others to support it, and not be, as you said, put to sleep.
Yes, because that's the bad thing, and that's what they want. I'm sure there's executives and other lawmakers in parts of the country is like, see, told you, they can't stick together, they can't do this. This is all a joke. Told you, don't stress, and that's exactly what they want from us. They know at some part because of there's no real leader, but even if there was, So there's still going to be a contingency.
Absolutely.
That's going to go against what we're trying
Oh,
to
there's
do.
always I mean, and that's in everything. I learned that in the 60 years of living. No matter what you do, there's going to be somebody.
Right.
And most of the time, those people rise up not because they really have another opinion, it's because they want attention.
Right.
And so you really got to be able to look at who are the attention getters and who are the real opinion makers. Because at the end of the day, you look at some of the people who just want attention.
Yep.
It's not like they have this great following. They get a following because they go in the opposite direction.
Absolutely.
If everybody's going in the same direction and you get two people to turn around and go against, they're the ones who get some attention.
Right.
I want us to keep the attention on the ones who are moving agendas forward.
Absolutely.
Moving forward. And so I really believe that we are making a U-turn. I don't believe that, and I think we've said this before, I believe in getting rid of fraud, waste, and abuse.
Absolutely.
I'm all in.
Absolutely.
And another judge has sided against the administration about the federal layoffs. A judge in California, I guess last night or yesterday. But it's the method that's happening.
Yes.
And so you can't run the United States of America like you do Tesla plant. And you can't
Or
walk
Trump
in,
Enterprises.
right? You can't just
Yeah.
walk in and like you're fired. It in the beginning, I'm sure people thought it was cute
Yes.
until now. People are really losing their jobs who voted.
Yes.
And so you're seeing these town hall meetings of
Yep.
Republicans that these mamma jammas are
Going
going
off.
off.
The old Karens are standing up.
They are going off.
Yeah.
And they're not just sitting back going, okay, we Republicans or we MAGA. And they're going like, wait a minute, my daughter's out of a job. And y'all said this. That's because they're just coming in. As you saw, he had a chainsaw the other day. Just coming in slashing and going, tell us what you do. If you don't know, that can negatively affect our peace.
Yep.
And I mean that as far as making us war ready.
Yep.
Especially our elderly, definitely our poor. And it's like a game to some.
I was going to say all of us. They had to bring back the inspectors that were working on the bird flu because you laid off all of them, and now eggs are almost $7, so you had to bring them back. So whenever you move too quickly, you making mistakes, and that's going to cost the American people. That's not going to cost
Absolutely.
It's not going to cost them. But even the foolishness to be like send all federal employees an email saying, "Tell me the 5 things you accomplished in the last year. If you don't do it by Friday, you're out."
It's
what?
chaos. And I think if it was organized and there was a rhyme or reason to it and it was sensible and it was
Absolutely.
over time, I think most Americans would support it.
Oh, absolutely.
But I think when you walk in, because now you got a key or a fob or you got whatever,
Or standing in the cabinet
right?
meeting.
And you just walk in and like, oh yeah, by the way, I mean, even the new head of the FBI talking about bringing in UFC to train the FBI agents. The federal, what is it? The whatever, bringing in not boxers, but the
MMA
extreme.
fighters, yeah.
He wants to bring them in to
Mixed
train.
martial arts.
And I know let me look it up because I thought it was UFC. So point is that and when we come back from the break in about 4 minutes, when we go to break, we're going to talk about why I still see it turning.
Yeah.
Because now you have this billionaire who they made an agreement for this community benefits agreement, and now basically saying, no, we still going to decide. Now, y'all can be around, but when it comes to them, they want to be at the table for development around the stadium.
Mm-hmm.
But they telling us, you ain't at the table. Now, you at the kiddie table. You at the table, but you at the kiddie table.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it basically said. That one line, to be clear, and that was a direct quote, to be clear, the Bills do not relinquish any authority.
We coming back.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's that to be clear.
We coming back at 12:30. Hot off the press 3 hours ago, Social Security will begin cutting jobs soon. It can lay off up to half its workforce. Now, think about this. Is the 1%ers?
It don't matter.
You think they care?
It don't matter.
They're set for the rest of their life. But somebody who calls Social Security office or needs assistance and now half of them are gone?
Yeah. It was because not just Social Security, you're laying off people in the IRS right in the middle of tax time. I know somebody who was dealing with trying to get their student loans taken care of, and I'm like, hey, you got to kind of cut them some slack. They don't know the person that may have been working on your case might be fired today. You have no idea. So even now, it's like you got to call the federal government with some grace, because I don't know if you're in there fending for your life.
And some of them are already angry.
Right. Already.
Now lay off. You liable to get cussed out.
Yes, you are.
And if I'm the last Mohican standing, don't know whether I'm losing my job, or if I'm dealing with a caseworker and now I call and they're gone and somebody got to handle.
Yep.
I'm just gonna say it. And Station, I'm getting ready to come over to you in less than a minute. I think we're making a U-turn. I think we can laugh, but until you let some of these people who receive Social Security go through enough, you ain't gonna see just African Americans out on the street protesting.
No.
You and retired people ain't got nothing to do.
Nothing to do but pick up the phone, call.
Pick up the phone, show up, and show out. I'm reading from NewJersey.com. Trump MAGA loyalist says the unthinkable because they are now starting to express themselves. Listen, I'm getting ready to come over to the station. When we come back, we talking about Buffalo Bills. Did they draw the line in the sand, or was this just confusion and they're making it plain? I'm going to tell you what the Bills said. I'm going to tell you what the Honorable April Baskin said. Then I want to know what you feel. Coming over to the station in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
When it comes to something as personal as your clothes, you need to deal with somebody you can trust. That's why so many people turn to Hobson's Dry Cleaning, conveniently located in the heart of the community at 874 East Delavan at the corner of Wyoming.
When you take your clothes to Hobson's, you can trust that they'll be ready on time.
You can trust that your whites will be white.
You can trust that you'll always get a fair price and service with a smile.
You can even trust that you won't have to get out of your car if you don't want to. Hobson's has a drive-through window for your convenience.
Trust is what it's all about at Hobson's Dry Cleaning.
Hobson's Dry Cleaning, your one-stop dry cleaners serving the community for over 30 years at 874 East Delavan at the corner of Wyoming. Call 891-8298. That's 891-8298.
Brian K. Lewis Funeral Home has 3 locations to serve you in Buffalo. 347 Peckham, 2258 Bailey Avenue, and Providence Memorial Chapel at 1275 Sycamore. Brian K. Lewis Funeral Homes offers traditional services, and they have services for all faiths. And at Brian K. Lewis Funeral Homes, they have air-conditioned parlors and chapels. Financing is available, as is limousine service. At those difficult moments in your life, Brian K. Lewis Funeral Homes is available where you are with counseling services. Call toll-free 877-885-7734. That's 877-885-7734. Or locally 845-5545. Brian K. Lewis Funeral Homes. We are here to serve you, here to serve this present age. Call today, toll-free 877-885-7734. Or email info@brianklewisfuneralhome.com.
All right, we're back. I'm getting to the Bills, but I just saw an article. Trump officials fire 800 employees at the Weather Forecasting and Oceans Agency. If you look at the front, it's the Center for Weather and Climate Prediction. Because remember, some of these folk don't believe in climate change. They don't believe in climate change. Don't believe that part of the wildfires because there's no rain in California. Don't believe that all of some of the things that we're going through in the climate is because the climate is changing. So 800 employees have been tapped for termination. According to 2 sources close, more layoffs are possible today, potentially costing the Weather, Climate, and Environmental Agency more than 1,000 employees by the end of the week. That's a concern, but I digress. I have other things that I've got to talk about. So if I can find them on here, where's my radio show tab? Here we go. So let's see how this puts it. Buffalo. Let's start with this one. Buffalo Bills say they want a seat at the table. Let me summarize. And I only summarize, and I'll read some of the quotes. Basically, the Buffalo Bills are saying the community around the new stadium is starting to develop, and they're saying, oh, we want to make a choice of what businesses, and we want a choice at the table. So let me remind me in 120 minutes. The Buffalo Bills want to take, I quote from Buffalo News, active role in the process of what is being developed around their new stadium. That doesn't mean the team is changing its stance on not wanting to play the role of developer, but it does signify that the Buffalo Bills want to have a say in what goes on around the $2.1 billion stadium in Orchard Park. While the Bills are getting $850 million in public funds from the project, the team is footing the bill for the rest. So they're getting almost close to half from the community. So it is especially important to the Bills that there is a fit of what is developed around them. The Bills also believe it is critical to have a seat at the table to better position the team to potentially host the NFL draft in 28-29 and the future NHL Winter Classic. So basically they're saying, we want to say, and you do have a say, go to the public hearing like everybody else. But this is what I mean about America Turning.
Yep.
So now a billionaire says, I don't want to have to go through the same process.
Right.
Where if a hotel is going to open next to us, if we don't want it, there's a public hearing process.
Right.
You go to, you participate. They're saying, oh, hell, eggs no. We fitting the bill for $1 billion. We want a better say. But if you get an expanded say because of the money you have in your pocket, it goes against democracy.
And that's the whole point of what we were arguing about the whole time before we gave $850 million public dollars.
The one thing when I was elected, and whether you talk about Bray Miller and everything else, is I did not care how much money you had. You had to go through the same process as everybody else. Doug Jamal, he'll tell you, same process. And I wish I could tell you what Doug Jamal says to me about how he feels about me, and it's very complimentary, but he knew I didn't take crap. And that's basically what he said. At the end of the day, I don't think they understand what this looks like. So you should have more of a voice than the people who live in those neighborhoods about what goes on so that you can have, and I know people who are all into sports, I don't care if it's sports or anything else. There's a process for development in Orchard Park.
And it's crazy because I saw a YouTube video and it was like, it was a guy and he was putting together all of the stadiums being built in the next 5 years. And he started with the Bills. But then I'm looking at like what Chicago's doing, and all of them are literally like redoing the whole community. And so you want to be a seat at the table, what's going on around these
in the suburbs.
In the suburbs, these other cities are saying, no, we are building the convention center to our stadium. We are building the complex around our stadium. So it's like, oh, you spend your own money, but then we give you permission of what can go where. Yeah, no.
So here's the article. It says the team is looking to protect its hefty investment in a new stadium being built across the street from Abbott Road, blah, blah, blah. It is somewhat of a change of course for the Bills after some Orchard Park officials had initially said the team was difficult to get in touch with about development matters, and the Bills were saying publicly it was not something they were contemplating yet. But now you want to control. I ain't going to say control. You want a seat at the table. Show up to the meetings like the regular Joe Blow.
Yep.
Help community. So that's number one. Let's go to article number 2. Because the same people. Go ahead.
But I was going to say, hence why, for all those who wanted them to make a move into the city, that's they didn't want that level of accountability on.
Absolutely. Here we go, folks. April Baskin and others, by the way, had worked on a deal, what's called community benefits agreement, which basically is the Bills would give so many million a year into poor, struggling communities. Let's be for real. East Side.
Right.
There's a community group that was formed.
Yep.
Advisory group, we always knew that. But I think everybody thought they had some teeth.
A little bit.
They got gums.
Or at least to put teeth enough to put a plan together.
They got gums.
Yeah.
And they're trying to eat. What's hard to eat with gums?
Well done steak.
Well done steak.
Yep.
Not saying they can't do it, and there's some powerful people at the table. But this is what makes me doubt it. According to the Buffalo News, the Buffalo Bills had a message for the committee overseeing the team's commitment to spend $3 million a year on community needs tied to the new stadium community benefits agreement. It is the team that has the authority to determine what groups get funding, and that funding won't always be in cash or grants.
Well, so when I was reading it, and I didn't read the Buffalo News because that's a whole that takes me back to our first conversation.
Mm-hmm.
There was an interesting line in what GRZ quoted. Oh, it is not a grant fund, but rather an aggregate of all philanthropy, including the continuation of existing charitable programs. So, like you said, to dumb it down, that also means when they send a Bills player to your event,
They're
they're
counting
counting that as cash.
Or if they in preseason,
Yes.
send a group 100 tickets to bring some poor and disenfranchised children.
But the face value of those preseason tickets are $10. Yep.
They can count it.
Yep.
If they want to, because they're not basically.
No, they said it.
Let me read it again. And that funding won't always be in cash or grants. So what the heck did we get? Sometimes it will be in services or other forms, the team said. And this is the same Bills that wants a seat at the table. And the oversight committee, they said, functions only as an advisor.
Yep.
Bills officials on Monday said they needed to try to clear up any confusion over how the community benefits funding will be allocated. And that process puts the oversight panel squarely in an advisory role and nothing else.
Yep.
Now, I want to say big ups to those who volunteer to be on this advisory role, spend their time meeting, and they could say, listen, we got this need here. And if the Buffalo Bills decide, well, the owners decide, no, we're not going in that direction.
Yep.
What's the see? I got off advisory boards that had no teeth.
Yep.
I remember being on so many advisory boards, and you meeting and meeting and meeting. Then at the end of the day, you give all the recommendations, and they go whatever way. I ain't got time for it.
Yep.
This comes a few months later after a public hearing where community members and groups and organizations told the team about their needs and how those dollars should be prioritized. It also comes as the Community Benefits Oversight Committee crafts a plan for how to identify the biggest community vulnerabilities. Bills officials, however, stressed that the $3 million
Over 30 years.
over 30. No. It's $3 million a year.
Yeah, $3 million a year for 30 years.
Doesn't necessarily mean the team will be spending $3 million in cash.
Yep.
What y'all feel? Is it a benefit or is it smoke and mirrors? Because now this big thing that so let me. I was wondering how Ms. April was going to feel. Baskin critical of Buffalo's stance over control of community fund. Here she goes. The former Erie County Legislative Chair who led the effort to negotiate a community benefits agreement with the Buffalo Bills is unhappy with the recent stance taken by the Bills over who controls the team's annual $3 million community contribution. April Baskin, now a state senator, said in a letter sent Wednesday that the Bills are going against the intention of the CBA tied to the building. Let me keep going. She's also upset with what she calls the lack of transparency from the team about post-construction initiatives. In other words, they're supposed to have out reports, allegedly, about, how they're moving along with the goals. But now the DEI is out the window.
Gone.
Are y'all listening or are y'all falling asleep? Are y'all listening or have you been lulled to sleep by entertainment? Are y'all listening or are you happy that we still got TikTok and we could do TikTok recipes? Are y'all listening? Now all of a sudden, a team that said we with the community, a team that sent players down the tops and did the photo ops is now saying, oh, no, we ain't giving y'all, we don't have to give you money. We give you some services, but it's going to be what we choose. So you can put everybody. You can have meetings at the library, and we'll listen. But it doesn't mean that's the direction we're going in. The bill said Monday in the statement that it is the team and only the team that has the authority to determine what groups are getting funding. And that funding won't always be, as I read, cash and grants.
Yeah. Well, then,
Talk to me.
I was going to say GRZ had this additional line. The committee, which is called the Community Benefits Oversight Committee, just so everyone's aware, the Community Benefits Oversight Committee. The committee has provided limited to no input on the team's investment over the first 2 years as guidelines are still being developed.
Guidelines still being developed? Wait a minute. Guidelines still being developed?
Yeah.
We 2 years into this?
2 years. And I know there was a report, because as I was researching, there was a report released last year, but I guess it didn't have the guidelines.
Well, let me tell you why there's no guidelines, because the bills just came out, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say this because Mark Blue is at the table. He's very smart.
He's the chairman.
He's the chairman. So I know Mark. He likes structure. He wants to see structure. I don't know this, what I'm getting ready to say. This is my opinion. This is my thought. Once those structures start going into place, that gave that advisory committee a little bit more power.
That oversight committee going to be tore apart.
Buffalo News came out. Bills came out and said, let me be clear.
To be clear.
I don't care what kind of structure y'all set up. We make these decisions. Mm-hmm. Over, and this over a measly couple $1 million when you got close to $1 billion in tax dollars. Yep. And the agreement, which was a kumbaya agreement, shaking hands, all in the press. And now, when it's time to pony up, y'all like, we make these decisions. We'll send you Josh Allen over to your community center. And that might, who knows how much of a visit that might be that they count against it.
Because if you break down Josh Allen's hourly rate by what he makes on the field, he might do one, and that takes care of $1 million. Like,
I'm just gonna say this: I ain't new to this. I'm true to this. I'm the one who called them out when they were taking them on the tours and wouldn't bring them into the city. They would take new players and take them on tours around Western New York, and I had a fit. The team did respond. I'm gonna call this out, and I'm gonna call it out as loud. We need to call this out as loud as you can. There was a CBA. I don't think that anybody, when it was celebrated, felt that the advisory board wouldn't have some. I mean, okay, we got it. You put in the majority of money. But at the end of the day, there are CBAs all over this country that are really working with the community and are really finding out what the community needs and respecting those wishes.
Yep.
I have this to me is tragic.
Yeah. And I think even the depth of how clear they wanted to be. The bills did not relinquish any authority to the CBOC, the Community Benefits Oversight Committee, and we're not taking shots at the committee.
Absolutely.
And those that serve. But then they doubled down, nor any stakeholder or organization with respect to where and how the community investment dollars are allocated. So, if you thought it was just the committee, no, we're not just talking about them too.
We don't care who it is.
Well, we don't care who it is. No one's going to tell us how to spend our money.
This is April's quote. This is what billion-dollar corporations do to even their most loyal consumers, said Baskins, who has expressed past concerns about the direction of CBA, but this is her strongest statement yet. I'm just going to say this. If I'm supposed to sit back and expect rich folks who ain't never laid their head in a poor community and who simply most of the time come through
fly in, fly out
for a photo op
and
to look like good people, if I'm supposed to trust that their decisions about communities that they're not connected to would be better than the people on the advisory board who understand their community, why did you put the advisory board there? That's what I want to know.
That's fair.
So if I go back to enslavement time, there was always somebody in the house who could say to master, don't beat that one, don't do this one.
Mm-hmm.
We going backwards.
Yes, we are.
I'm telling you, I feel we going backwards. And the way they going to lull us to sleep is keep us entertained.
And the bad thing is, the same people you talk about, we're going to decide, and the less fortunate communities and the disadvantaged communities, or the communities that were redlined, whatever appropriate tagline we want to put on them, most of them can't afford to get tickets to your new stadium anyway.
Absolutely.
Because especially not season tickets. Oh, God forbid they can go to get a season tickets, but that's what you wanted. Most of the proposals to come into the city included having the light rail system come to the stadium. But why would we want that? Same reason why it didn't extend into Amber. Like, it's all systematic.
It's by design.
And by design.
I'll keep using the word allegedly.
But now, because we want to keep our team here, but they don't care if we attend the games. They're happy with their Canadian base, their Lockport base, their Grand Island base.
Preach.
They don't care about Lakeisha and her 4 kids coming to a game. They don't care about that.
Well, and part of the reason for the community benefits agreement, I would imagine historically, when you look at history, is because the stadium was right here on Jefferson.
Yes. And that was the overtone of the meeting at Merriweather.
So you move the stadium out. Okay. Now you need a new one, and you want to dig into the same coffers.
Yep.
Or into the coffers of the taxpayers of Erie County. Taxpayers of Erie County say, okay, but the leader of the county legislature said we need a community benefit agreement.
Yep.
Now, many people thought it was too small, but at least it was something.
Again, got to take a first step.
Now, y'all just came out this week after 2 years. That's telling me.
Yes.
And I have no proof of this. This is what I am alleging. That something happened in that group trying to create structure that the bill said, let me make it crystal clear.
Yep.
That you all do not have the ability to come to us and say, help out the resource center.
Yes.
Help out y'all can say it, but out of that $3 billion, we do whatever we want.
Yeah.
And let me be clear. And then walk away and then not allegedly, according to the article, not provide reports about okay, where's these reports at?
Yeah.
They should be public now.
Yes. There's public money involved.
You got public money involved. If it wasn't public money,
You do what you want.
you could do what? If you wanted to finance the whole $2 billion stadium, you do whatever you want. But the minute you incorporate public money, there is public disclosure.
Yes.
But when you feel like you don't have to, and while we're over here, I'm telling you, you used the right words at the beginning of the show. While we over here sleep, all of that effort of George Floyd, all of I can go back. It goes further.
Yes.
The efforts of our ancestors.
Yes.
While we sleep, that's why for Lent, man, I'm gonna eat what I want to. I'm fasting from some silly stuff that keeps us asleep. And so now the billionaire says, "Oh, go tell them."
Yep.
He did not say this quoting. I'm talking. What we envision.
We're analyzing.
Go tell them they're not controlling this $3 million.
Absolutely. Exactly what
I'll
happened.
be daggone if I go to a meeting week after week and you give me some coffee and some donuts, and I got to do all of this work, and the people who responding, they getting paid.
Yep. I was getting ready to say, you see who they didn't send? They didn't send the owner.
You know what's
like you said.
oh yeah, they ain't gonna send them.
Yeah.
But you know what's out when I talk about balanced reporting?
Yes.
This whole article is about what the bill said. I need to hear from some people on the committee.
Well, GRZ did. So GRZ.
What did they say?
Let me make sure. I want to make sure I'm quote because I know Maria White, the former deputy county executive.
She's on the
right. She's
yes.
on the committee. She asked for a copy of the statement to further digest it, and she said she would offer comments at the next meeting. Committee Chairman Reverend Mark Blue told Two on Your Side that the statement simply made clear what was already known by the committee, although this was the first time the bills made specific remarks about the relationship.
I had to be politically correct many times in my life.
Yeah.
I had to be politically correct. I really did. And I understand it. Much respect. But at the end of the day, in my opinion, this is bull. Mm-hmm. And we should be supporting that committee.
Yes.
And a voice, a united voice that says, if you're going to put a committee together and then you're going to do a statement that says you ain't got no teeth and this is a tough steak. But now you won't even say who's cooking the steak.
Nope.
And the percentages.
You got that grade D steak.
And because so many of us are asleep in TikTok land.
Yep. Or just ready for the new stadium to go to a game or watch it on TV.
You know, the older I get, it just becomes more liberating to be able to say what the heck I want to say. Because at the end of the day, whether it was American Rescue Act funds that were supposed to go, a lot of it to groups, and I told y'all, I sat back and watched when it was like Christmas Day, and I kept going. I said it. This is not going to go right. Because stuff is being promised without a plan. And people are being promised, you get it was like Oprah when she gave away the cars.
Yep. You get this.
You get this,
Yep.
and you get this, and you get that. And I was like, wait, how? What? What's the process?
Yep.
What's the feedback? And it was just like, I'm not going to say one because there were several on the council who felt the same way. But then when the rubber hit the road, it was like, we got to fill a budget gap. And I get it, but my point is, we can't keep promising organizations and then organizations get ramped up. And I know what other people say. Oh, they just looking for a handout. No, we're looking for equity.
Yeah. Equity.
That's all.
But that was the whole point of the $330 million. It was to help sustain and bring back to equity the disadvantaged communities and those impacted by COVID-19 the most.
Okay, so here we have had, I don't know how many hundreds of millions come through in the last 3 years. Little $3 million for 2 years.
Yep.
I just have this question. What great impact has it had on our community yet? What huge turnaround happened in any one neighborhood? And my answer to you is I don't know. And the only reason I'm not going to say not at all, because I ain't got all the facts.
Right.
So I'm going to give somebody a week or so
Yeah.
to be able to come back and say, hey, and then I'm man enough to be able to like, all right, okay.
Yeah. And and I'll talk about the city I grew up in. So Wilmington, Delaware, it's sometimes, I spent 30 years there. And then I remember as I started to go back, I'm like, man, things ain't changed. Like, and then all I can see is, oh, they put another apartment building up. Oh, there's another corporate building there that's basically empty. And it's like, we want to celebrate, and we all know we need more housing.
Absolutely.
More quality housing.
Absolutely.
Well, so I won't take away from that. But when we brag about $1 billion development, and then that's all we can hang our hat on. But we did nothing to the economic support to help those to be able to afford the new apartments coming online. Then we're painting a completely different picture because you're speeding up the positive and the negative effects of gentrification. And because like you said, it has a lot of positive effects because we all want better neighborhoods. But then when you don't do the things to help those who have been there, then now you also increasing the negative effects.
Absolutely. Ross, my brother, says Dr. King in his last book said everyone rallies around to support black people when it's a cause of conscience and no money is involved.
That's what
when
he said.
Money and resources are involved, they ran away as fast as they came and nothing changes for the general black community.
That's what Dr. King said in his last interview.
Hobson's, the Dr. Dry Cleaning, 874 East Delavan. Go over to Hobson's. They allow us to have this conversation without any censoring, without any pre-approval. Go over to somebody who supports our community. Hobson's, the Doctor of Dry Cleaning, 874 East Delavan. Brian K. Lewis Funeral Homes, 3 locations to serve you. He also allows us, he has never once said, please don't talk about this, please don't talk about that. He allows it to be talked about so that people have the information. We are praying for the Ridgeway family, the Bobel family, the Pannell family, and the Hosey family, just a few of the families that he's taking care of this week. Listen, folks, don't go to sleep. This country right now, and always has been, whether we like it or not, has been run by the wealthiest people in the country, if not the world. But at the end of the day, we were able to make changes through civil rights and through other actions when we stuck together. So let's try one day of just sticking together and stay out of Target, stay out of Walmart, unless you work there. Stay out of them. Stay out of McDonald's. Stay out of these places that have publicly said we're rolling back DEI. And maybe go to a place in your neighborhood that supports your neighborhood, supports the churches, the mosques, the temples in their neighborhood. Go to a place that they care. Until then, power to the people.